at the time, comes out and says, I don't think she was doing it on purpose. The coach says that. Go all the way to the front. This is how she plays. Look,
damn, girl.
She's obviously very sweet. She doesn't at all have any negative intent at all. She doesn't hit hard, and she plays very clean basketball.
White privilege.
And watch what she does to the eyes. You see?
Ooh, wow.
The play in the last game, I didn't see the play in real time.
That's her in the back.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
Went straight to a press conference.
So you can pause it right there.
And that's her right there.
That's her in the back, and that's the foul.
Here comes kindness.
I stand by them. I will always stand by them.
Amen.
Everybody else can go to hell.
Oh, wait a minute.
Kindness.
Wait a minute.
So you know what? We need kindness.
Grace.
They go high, you go.
Grace. Sounds like a wholesome Christian. And then she goes, hey, by the way, go to hell, and then you leave.
The controversy exploded after DJ Carrington was ejected for a flagrant 2 foul on Sophie Cunningham. But what happened next shocked fans even more. Stephanie White had watched the play unfold and later defended Carrington, saying she believed it was a hard foul, but didn't think Carrington intentionally went for Cunningham's neck. That immediately raised eyebrows because Cunningham was White's own player, the one who had just taken the hit. Instead of strongly condemning the contact, White emphasized Carrington's aggressive style and competitive nature. And that was only the beginning, because within days, White's explanation about what she actually saw during the play would become the biggest part of the controversy.
After the DJ Carrington clothesline from hell incident the other day, in which she came out and said, oh, DeJournette's she's not a dirty player. She just plays real hard. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, look, she turns into the Charlie Brown teacher pretty quickly with a lot of people. At least with me, she does. The moment I realize she's going to do it again and not back her own player, yeah, I'm out. I got to tell you, one of the most obvious traits of a terrible leader, not taking any responsibility.
The controversy became even bigger when Stephanie White later claimed she didn't actually see the foul happen in real time. She said she went straight to the press conference and only understood how serious it was after watching the replay. But fans quickly pointed to sideline footage showing White looking directly toward the play as it happened. That created a major contradiction between what viewers saw and what White later explained. Critics immediately began asking why her story seemed to change after the backlash intensified. And once that footage started spreading, the pressure on White became impossible to ignore.
To be fired immediately, Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White walked past her own player Sophie Cunningham to check on DJ Carrington after the hard foul.
Once the footage went viral, the criticism came from every direction. Fans questioned how a flagrant 2 foul that left Cunningham needing attention could initially be described as simply Carrington playing hard. Analysts also began focusing less on the foul itself and more on White's leadership. The biggest issue was simple. If one of your players gets hurt, shouldn't the head coach be the first person to clearly stand up for her? White later insisted that she always has her players' backs and rides with them 10 toes down. But that statement only created another uncomfortable question. If that was true, why did so many people feel Cunningham had been left out of that support?
Yeah, I mean, look, it was a hard foul. I don't think that DeJournette intentionally came out to get her across the neck like she did. But it did happen, and I thought it was the right call. But, you know, one of the things about Nay is that she's going to play her butt off, man. She's going to compete. Nobody's going to go walking in for a layup. And so I don't oppose the hard foul. But I also don't think that she intentionally went for the neck.
Sophie Cunningham eventually gave her own perspective, and it added another layer to the controversy. She described the contact as intentional, directly conflicting with White's earlier interpretation of the play. That difference mattered because Cunningham was the player who actually experienced the hit. While White focused on Carrington's competitive style and lack of alleged intent, Cunningham was dealing with the aftermath on the court. Suddenly, this was no longer just about a controversial foul. It became a question of whether a player could feel fully supported when her own coach publicly offered a much softer version of what happened.
I can't believe that Stephanie White kind of stood up for Carrington. You would never see Shell Reeve Becky Hammon doing this. You may think something, but you sit in a press conference and say that in front of your team. You don't do that. That's how you lose the team. The team will go against you. What? I'm blown away by that. You can think, oh, I used to coach her.
Then Caitlin Clark stepped into the conversation with support for Stephanie White, showing that the situation wasn't as simple as everyone being against the coach. Clark emphasized the importance of keeping the locker room together and pushed back against the outside noise surrounding the team. That was significant because it showed there were different perspectives inside the Fever. While Cunningham's comments fueled criticism of White's handling of the foul, Clark's defense suggested that at least some players still trusted their coach. And suddenly, the biggest question became whether the controversy was actually dividing the locker room, or whether outside voices were making it look that way.
And why is Fever coach Stephanie White defending DJ Carrington over her own player? That is absolutely bizarre, considering you can watch the replay of that, and it was absolutely unacceptable what happened to Cunningham. Both Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Collins are wonderful role models for young children, and they play the game exceptionally well. Sophie Cunningham said that the hit by DJ Carrington was intentional, but Sophie Cunningham's coach sided with Carrington. Carrington is a Chicago Sky Guard that was once coached by White. I just can't understand why the WNBA is not doing more to protect their players.
But the story didn't disappear after the Cunningham incident. Additional clips involving Carrington began circulating, including controversial contact involving other players. Critics pointed to those moments and argued that the Cunningham foul shouldn't be viewed completely in isolation. That doesn't automatically prove intent, but repeated controversial plays naturally brought more attention to Carrington's aggressive defensive style. Instead of asking only whether one particular foul was accidental, fans started asking whether the league and coaches needed to demand more accountability when dangerous-looking contact keeps becoming part of the conversation.
In the last game, I didn't see the play in real time. I went straight to a press conference. I thought the play got called right. Thankfully, Sophie's okay. Was it egregious? Absolutely. When you have a chance to watch that over and over and over on replay, you can see that. I didn't have that in real time.
Were there any
I take personally any suggestions that I don't 100% always have my players back. I ride with them 10 toes down all the time. All the time.
At this point, the controversy had shifted from one foul to Stephanie White's leadership. White spoke passionately about leading with love, grace, humility, and integrity, insisting that outside negativity would not divide her team. But critics argued that leadership isn't only about defending players when they are under attack. It's also about acknowledging when something goes too far. Her previous relationship with Carrington made the situation even more complicated because White had coached her before. That connection may explain why White saw the incident differently, but it also explains why fans continued questioning whether she could remain completely objective.
Couldn't see it.
Say about the play in the last game, I didn't see the play in real
That's
time.
her in the back.
You sure about that? You sure about
I
that?
went straight to a press conference.
So you can
I
pause
thought
it
the
right
play
there.
got-
And that's her right there.
That's her in the
picture?
back, and that's the foul. What do you mean you can't see the foul?
Unbelievable.
And she says she got a better view than some of the referees got. And then this is how she comes and cries on TV about the criticism she got. How dare people on social media call her out? Go for it.
In the end, this controversy became much bigger than one hard foul. It turned into a serious debate about leadership, accountability, loyalty, and what it really means for a coach to stand behind her players when the situation becomes uncomfortable. Stephanie White's original comments, her later explanation, the sideline footage, Sophie Cunningham's reaction, and Caitlin Clark's public defense all created different sides to the same story. White may genuinely believe she was protecting her team and trying to keep outside noise from damaging the locker room.
Were there any
I take personally any suggestions that I don't 100% always have my players back. I ride with them 10 toes down all the time. All the time. They know that. It's a shame that we can't have an opportunity to talk about what great basketball they're playing. Because they are f***ing playing. The reality is, with me, I will always lead with love. I will always lead with grace. I will always lead with humility. And I will always lead with integrity. Doesn't mean I'll always get it right. I'm also human.
But the biggest issue remains the contradiction over whether she actually saw the foul in real time. If she did see it, why did her explanation change later? And if she truly didn't see it clearly, why was she so confident about Carrington's intentions immediately afterward? Those questions are exactly why the controversy refuses to disappear. At the same time, it's important not to assume what was happening inside White's mind without evidence.
But now here we have her completely so far away from the basketball, just slapping Tiffany Hayes in the face. Let me just reach and see if I could grab some face real quick. Just smacking Tiffany Hayes in the face. Not really not that big of a deal. Steph, any thoughts on this one?
One of the things about Nay is that she's going to play her butt off, man. She's going to compete. Nobody's going to go walking in for a layup. And
fair enough. No.
Coaches can have complicated relationships with former players, and defending someone doesn't automatically mean they don't care about the player who was hurt. But perception matters too, especially when the entire situation plays out publicly. Until White clearly addresses that contradiction, every new Carrington controversy could bring this story back into the spotlight. And that leaves one final question hanging over the Indiana Fever. When everything got heated and one of her own players was on the floor, did Stephanie White truly stand behind all of her players equally?